Hey everyone, this is your Digital Super Saiyan 3 back here with another video. And, well, let's talk about 2002 as a year for films. 2002 gave us films like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron from DreamWorks, Lilo and Stitch, Treasure Planet, the Powerpuff Girls movie, Hey Arnold, the movie, and even the second installment of Harry Potter with the Chamber of Secrets. But today's review isn't any of those. No, I thought I'd be talking about the Scooby Doo movie from 2002, directed by Raja Gosnell. 2002's Scooby Doo. The cast includes Freddie Prinze Jr. as Fred Jones, Sarah Michelle Gellar as Daphne Blake, Linda Cardellini as Velma Dinkley, and Matthew Lillard as Shaggy Rogers. And of course, Rowan Atkinson as this theme park owner. Okay, so the beginning of the movie starts off like this. So, during one of Mystery Inc.'s mysteries, the mystery of the lunar ghost, which was used on the poster for the movie with the Mystery Inc. gang, hilarity ensues as Daphne, played by Sarah Michelle Gellar, had been once again kidnapped by the Luna ghost, which was this ghost they are catching. And while trying to catch the ghost, Fred's trap goes completely off the rails and hilarity ensues, but they still manage to capture the Luna ghost. And they still manage to capture the Luna ghost. And this whole first scene took place in this toy factory. So Fred, played by Freddie Prinze Jr., takes the credit for Velma's plan. Velma, who is played by Linda Cardellini, is pretty much pissed about this. So, in the aftermath of their mystery, we see the gang go their own separate ways after Velma says, "I quit," then Daphne says that she quits. Fred also says he quits as well. But Shaggy, he's the one who wants to keep the group together. And Shaggy, yes, played by Matthew Lillard, who does a really good job as Shaggy. So, because the gang breaks up in the first few minutes of the film, 2 years pass by, and Scooby and Shaggy are, no longer doing the whole mystery solving thing. They're just getting some R&R. And yet they have the mystery machine. So, Scooby and Shaggy get an invite to a theme park who wants to bring Mystery Inc. back together to solve this mystery, as things have been going wrong at a theme park called Spooky Island. So, after hearing about the all-you-can-eat deal, Scooby and Shaggy, they accept the invitation, and so does the other members of Mystery Inc., as all of them assemble at the airport. However, they haven't been apart for that much of the movie. Yeah, and they already do this 2-year time skip, which really bugs me. So yeah, they assemble all at the airport and take a flight to Spooky Island. While on the plane, Shaggy meets a girl by the name of Mary Jane, who is allergic to dogs. And Scooby is dressed up in drag in this scene because, I guess because Scooby can't fly, and it's just ridiculous. Anyway, Hilarity ensues again aboard the plane. So, the gang arrive on Spooky Island and are greeted by the theme park owner, played by Rowan Atkinson, who tells them that things have been going wrong with the college students as they have changed during their trip. And the gang witnesses one of the college students gets violent with one of the guests who just arrived on the island. So you have the egos of Fred, Velma, and Daphne all wanting to try to outdo the other by trying to solve this mystery before one another does. While Shaggy and Scooby, on the other hand, are the only ones concerned about keeping the gang together, you know? But that's the least of the gang's worries. The gang split up and they go around the entire theme park. Scooby gets a phone call to go to the deepest, darkest part of the jungle where no one could see him, because he heard there was a bag of hamburgers there for him. Knowing Scooby, he basically accepts and goes into the woods, only to be attacked by a monster. And yeah, one thing I gotta talk about this film, the CGI is pretty bad in this movie. Like, the CGI did not age well with this movie, that's for sure. So, after Scooby gets away from the monster, through some hijinks, Scooby and Shaggy go with Daphne up to the Spooky Island castle after Daphne meets with this guy called the Voodoo Man, who tells Daphne not to go up to the Spooky Island castle, but Daphne says, "You want me to go up to the castle," but he said, "Didn't you hear what I just said?" But, you know, she still does it anyway by bringing Scooby and Shaggy along with her. Once inside, Daphne, Scooby, and Shaggy meet up with Fred and Velma, after Velma scared the bejeebers out of Daphne. And then the gang split up, but this time around, instead of Fred going with both of the girls and Scooby and Shaggy going with each other, this time Fred just goes with Velma, and Daphne goes on her own, and Scooby and Shaggy, well, they go with each other again, as usual. While Fred and Velma are together, they start arguing. And of course, while Daphne is on her side of the castle, well, hilarity ensues again as the castle attractions turn on and try to kill the gang. Scooby and Shaggy are tied up in the dining hall of the castle by giant plastic sausages and giant creatures built into the wall to try to eat them. Yeah. So yeah, the theme park rides try to kill the gang. The gang do manage to escape, and both Fred and Velma find their clue, as well as Daphne, who finds an artifact called the Daemon-Ritus, which is the Deus Ex Machina of this whole film. Which, yeah. And soon, the gang does escape from the castle, only to later be attacked by monsters. Only to be attacked by the same type of monster that attacked Scooby earlier on. And the monsters capture Fred and Velma, while Scooby, Shaggy, Mary Jane, and Daphne all escape from the hotel. However, yet again, by the time daylight appears, they all escape. Or not escape, but they all split up. I meant to say split up. They all split up. Scoob went with Shaggy, Mary Jane went on her own way, and then Daphne went on her way. Scooby and Shaggy then get attacked by Fred, who seems to be acting strange, until it's revealed that Fred's body had been taken over by a monster, as well as a few other people, including Sugar Ray. Yes, Sugar Ray themselves are in this movie, and they provide a song called Words to Me, which also, I believe, appears on the soundtrack for this film. Yes, that's right. Sugar Ray is in this movie. How cool is that? And so, yet again, Scooby and Shaggy are being chased by possessed humans, as well as Fred, while riding four-wheelers. Then they come across Mary Jane, until Scooby discovers that she herself had been taken over as well. And Daphne also got captured as well by this masked wrestler dude as one of the bad guys in this movie. So, Scooby falls into a trapdoor after he and Shaggy fight, when Shaggy refuses to believe Scooby. And then Shaggy dives after Scooby basically because after saying friends don't quit on each other, and Shaggy is right, friends just do not quit. Until Shaggy comes upon a vat full of protoplasm heads, or protoplasm souls, that were taken from the guests of the island. Shaggy sets free most of the captured Mystery Inc. members. He sets free Velma, who's the only one who gets to her body. He then sets free Fred, and then sets free Daphne. However, Fred gets trapped in Daphne's body, and then Daphne gets trapped in Fred's body. Later, Shaggy, Velma, Daphne, and Fred all meet up. And Shaggy has the Damon-ritis. And because of that, all of the four main Mystery Inc. human members all kept switching bodies until they eventually got into the right body. Yeah, it was a running gag in this one scene. And then they later meet up with the Voodoo Man on the beach, who tells them about the details of the voodoo ritual, and that they need a pure-hearted soul for a sacrifice, the sacrifice of the pure one. Until the gang learns that the pure one is actually Scooby. So, the theme park owner, Mr. Montevarius, has actually been revealed to be the cult leader the whole time. Well, technically, it's not really him. We're not at that part yet. And he tells Scooby, I want you to be our sacrifice. And Scooby agrees to it. So, because Scooby agrees to be the sacrifice, yeah. So the gang make a plan to try to rescue Scooby, as well as try to defeat all the as well as trying to free all the people that were taken over by the monsters. However, hilarity ensues and the plan goes off the rise, so it was time for Plan B, making it up as they go along. So then Fred and Velma are then captured, while Daphne goes to the roof to try to release the disco skull, as well as the vents. However, Daphne is then confronted by the masked wrestler guy who captured her earlier on. The same wrestler guy that captured her earlier on in the movie, I meant to say. So Daphne fights with the wrestler, and then we are revealed that the cult leader was actually Scrappy Doo, who was in a robot disguised as Mr. Montevarius. And because he was wearing a suit to pretend to be Mr. Monovarius. Scrappy then turns into a giant monstrosity after he absorbed a lot of souls. And because he absorbed a lot of souls and the Daemon Raiders got embedded into his chest, Scrappy then tries to chase down Scooby to try to absorb his soul, so he would be complete with his monstrous transformation. And of course, we get the theme song playing, and I love this variation of the Scooby-Doo theme song that's playing as the big song that is in the climax of this movie. So, Daphne defeats the wrestler and frees the Protoplasm souls. Shaggy uses this crane to rip the Daemon Raiders out of Scrappy's chest. And, of course, the day is saved. And, of course, the entirety of Mystery Inc. are reunited. And now are back to solve mysteries for good. So, this is Scooby-Doo 2002. Final thoughts? Well, yeah, there are some... Do I think this movie is entirely a bad movie? Well, I can admit it's still not a masterpiece by any means, but it certainly isn't a film that is bad to watch. I mean, I don't think it's that cringy to watch. I mean, I've seen worse movies. I've seen much worse movies than this, and this movie, I would say, isn't that bad. I mean, to Raja Gosnell's credit, I did like the way Spooky Island looked. I did like the theme park setting, and it really looked nice. The sets in this movie looked nice. The temple area, the castle looked great. Yeah, the CGI was pretty bad, and yeah, most of the jokes were not funny. Like, yes, they were mostly just a bunch of burp, fart, and piss jokes. And, of course, this film having the mid-cursing, because there's mild cursing in a Scooby-Doo movie, which I find is strange. Why there would be mid-cursing in a Scooby-Doo movie is beyond me. So, yeah, Scooby-Doo 2002. I would say it's a film that it's just watchable. It's just watchable. Anyway, it's not so bad. It's just watchable. Anyway, this has been your Digital Super Saiyan 3, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya!